Hey guys, my name is Miska and welcome to Overwatch Central. A couple things I want to talk about today, but before we get into those, real quick, the gameplay in the background is me trying to play support on my alt account. I haven't played a lot of support. I think I'm in sort of mid to high plat. On my main account, I've mostly been in 3.6, 3.7k on main tank, so I thought I'd try something different because I was getting a bit frustrated with main tank. But yeah, this is my gameplay. Feel free to critique it as much as you want. I know some of you will either way. Moving on to the first thing I want to talk about today though, Jeff Kaplan was on a podcast called the Major Jobs Podcast, Major Jobs with Talent. Talent is some high schooler, I think, from the US. Just a teenager making a podcast about how to achieve certain jobs and get to certain places in life. Interviewing people and talking about how they ended up getting that job or ended up in that position that they're currently in. And the latest episode was with Jeff Kaplan. There was a lot of really interesting stuff with Jeff in this podcast. I definitely recommend you to go and check it out and have a listen, especially the story about how Jeff Kaplan actually got his job at Blizzard in the first place is really interesting. I knew some of it, but not all of it. And yeah, definitely worth a listen. One thing I wanted to mention from this podcast, though, that I think is actually pretty important to consider is what Jeff said about future plans for Overwatch. Now, this was obviously not the main focus of the podcast, and he didn't really go into detail, but he did say the following. We have what I consider amazing plans for Overwatch. It pains me not to be able to talk about it in detail. He mentioned also that Steven, who was with him there from PR, started giggling a bit in the background when he was talking about these things. And Jeff went on to say that the good news is, though, that the things we are working on are not going to be secret forever. We have a plan. We're very excited to share that plan. We just want to make sure everything is just right before we do that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but this was Jeff talking specifically about how they would shift Overwatch and how the sort of content plan would change. At least it seemed kind of like that was what it was implying. As he went on to talk about short-term things after that, which had more to do with teasing upcoming dates, meaning probably events and such, and of course Baptiste coming to competitive, so short-term things like that. And Jeff was saying earlier when talking about long-term things and change of plans that he's been working on a very, very big overarching plan for Overwatch that even stretches as far as for him planning things in 2021 and 2022 already. So Overwatch having these long-term plans, but what Jeff talked about with we have a plan kind of fell between those two different things of short-term and long-term, which makes me feel more confident in there being bigger changes happening in 2019. So far, we're seeing things that might actually result in that over time, and I really do hope that Jeff and the Overwatch team manage to get together a plan that they're happy with, that they can present to the community in not too long. So best of luck to Jeff and the Overwatch team with the rest of that. If you want to hear more about how Jeff got his job, what it takes to be a game designer, game director, or just work in the industry from Jeff's perspective, then definitely do have a listen. I loved this just 36-minute piece. I'm gonna link that in the description. Moving on from that though, I want to talk about Baptiste, who was added into competitive just 2 days ago, and we only really have 2 data points to talk about here from Overbuff. So Overbuff tracks win rates and pick rates, and obviously pick rate is not really too relevant just yet because the hero just came out and no hero tends to explode on day 1. But one thing that is interesting to note is that so far in bronze, silver, gold, and even in platinum, Baptiste's win rate is actually below 50%. However, when you start going up in ranks in diamond, you start seeing a bit of an improvement, with master peaking out at a pretty ridiculous 58%, grandmaster being a little bit lower at about 54-55. So I think he's landed in that sweet spot of a very high skill ceiling support that Blizzard wanted, looking at that initially. However, it will be interesting to see where he actually ends up in terms of pick rate and how popular this character will be and what people say about him. I played competitive today for about 2 hours in the sort of 2.8k platinum rating bracket, I guess. The overall consensus seemed to be that Baptiste was good, especially with Ana, but not absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's plat and it's just me with an anecdotal piece of evidence, I guess. It doesn't mean much, but the general impression so far for me with Baptiste is very positive. And it really doesn't seem like people in plat, at least, feel like it's a negative thing to pick up Baptiste. I've not been getting any, oh, the hero just came out, you don't know how to play him, don't play Baptiste, please. Nothing like that. So very happy about all of that. Very interested in the future of Overwatch. But that is everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're enjoying Overwatch still, and if you're not, well, hopefully you can enjoy it in not too long. Alright, that's everything. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.